Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you are indeed watching the GSL live here on GOMTV from GOMTV.net. And I am Moltrap. With me is Kaldor. How are you liking your first day on camera here at the GSL, Kaldor?
Well, I like actually casting in front of the camera this time and having the audience, but I don't like the results of those games, to be honest. We'll see Naniwa playing now, and he's basically the last foreigner fighting now.
The last hope of the non-Koreans fighting in Code A. Everyone else has been eliminated from the round of 48 from the first round of Code A. This is his chance to get past that round. Of course, Naniwa has competed a couple other times in Code A and hasn't managed to get to the second round yet, so this is his chance of that. And of course, we got to mention again, this is a revenge match for him. He faced Lucky last season and had some very hard-fought games where if things had gone a little differently, he might have won, but was not able to pull out the win. And here's one of those first fights from Sase versus JYP. And there, see that moment where he actually pulled back those stalkers before they died, gave him a little bit of an advantage.
Actually really disappointed at Sase's micro in this fight. I think he might have been occupied somewhere else on the map when that fight started, because I thought that he would really try to pull back his injured stalkers and do a little bit of dancing with his units, and he didn't do that at all. Then, as you already pointed out right now, we have that one zealot in the main base of Sase just trying to kill some probes, killing a little bit of mining time, and that was another nail in the coffin. Sase just not able to deal with JYP's dominance on the map.
Yeah, and that one zealot did, in fact, like you said, it forced him to focus somewhere else on the map. And I think we even saw JYP's probe get a kill there because one of Sase's probes was just standing still. And just that little bit of an advantage is what JYP needed to get a major advantage going into the mid-game before Sase fell back to get Blink. So, yes, indeed. And as you mentioned at the beginning of that game, too, JYP was being a little greedy, if you could call it that. Squeezed out a couple extra probes even before that harassment. So he ended up 4 or 5 probes ahead at the end of that.
And here we have those two Twilight Councils. I'm really a little bit agitated about the game because I felt that Sase with a little bit of better micro in the early stage of the game and later on could have been able to pull ahead and force a third game. But, well, we have to give it to JYP. His micro was stellar. He was really able to retreat with all the injured stalkers, even though he had the occasional slip up.
Yes, indeed. Naniwa is going to be the last hope of the foreigners. And you know what? I think he has a really good chance of it. We were talking earlier about practice strategies, and the way that professional gamers in Korea practice is they will not, when they're preparing for a match, they won't really ladder at all. They'll just practice completely custom games, which means they're practicing with their teammates. And here's that last Blink battle, by the way, coming up. And that's the best way to practice because then you can work on the specific matchup you want. You can practice little details of your build. You can make sure you have everything down perfectly. And so Naniwa's been doing that. He's been practicing a lot with some Korean Zergs lately, really working out the kinks in his build, making sure his build is perfect, that he knows it down to the wire, to the second. And so that is really going to do him a lot of good. Of course, Naniwa's been laddering a lot as well, just to kind of mass game and get his skills up. But a lot of the practice that he's done the last few days is really going to help him out.
When you practice, you should always ladder a little bit because you will be just able to deal with a lot of cheeses that are thrown at you.
Yeah.
If you just practice the same build over and over again on the same map against the same opponent, you will at some point just get into this mindset where you don't really that reactive to other strategies. So laddering as well, getting cheesed a little bit helps with that. But Naniwa made a good effort at preparing for that match, and he better should, because as you all mentioned, he's our last hope, and that guy needs to put some effort in or he won't get any food today. I promise you that much.
Yeah, and in fact, you were talking about him getting cheesed. In fact, last night I watched him get 6 pulled a couple times when he was laddering, and he dealt with it pretty well. So he's definitely going to be able to deal with whatever Lucky throws at him. And I happen to know that he has a strategy that he was practicing against Czech. He was practicing with Czech a couple nights ago.
Quite a lot.
And he had a strat that worked against Czech a few times in a row, despite the fact that Czech knew it was coming.
It was actually quite interesting, because Nani was basically just trying this one build. He prepared especially the Crossfire match, and he played against Czech and other Zerg players all over. Todd helped him quite a lot, by the way, with that, especially with fighting practice partners, as Todd was staying in Korea for a long time back in Warcraft 3 and therefore knows a lot of people. Yeah. So he was practicing this build over and over again, and he just got annihilated. And I think we're heading to the... Nope, we're not.
Not just yet, but there is none other than FXO's Lucky.
But finishing that thought, he was annihilated by Czech over and over and over again. He didn't win a single game, and then he made some slight decision changes and went to throw down the gateway, went to block the ramp, how to approach the map. And he was able to find an opening that worked against Czech very, very well. He took about 5 games straight in a row. So I'm really, really looking forward, especially to his game on Crossfire. I hope that he'll be able to pull that strategy off again. And it's quite nice. First game will be on Daybreak though. And FXO Lucky will obviously want to pull off the victory against Naniwa that he achieved in the last time those two players met.
Yes, indeed. Now, Lucky, he doesn't have a ton of experience, but he is very, very good versus Protoss. It's 4-2 versus Protoss in his public tournament games.
He lost his last...
In Korea, I should say. That doesn't count his IPL victories.
He lost his last game to a Protoss player with 2-0, or 0-2. He lost against Sage.
Yeah, that Sage eliminated from Code after he beat Naniwa last season.
And there's Naniwa.
There he is. Naniwa's a lefty.
Yep.
By the way. And I've forgotten again, there's another pro player, there's a professional Brood War player. And the last time Naniwa played, I casted him and I couldn't remember the Brood War player's name that time either. So now I still can't remember it. But there's, anyway, he's one of the few pros that plays with left-handed mouse. And his right hand is just on the left side of the keyboard, basically, because most of the hotkeys in StarCraft 2 are centered around that portion of the keyboard, so that you don't have to move very far to get it. And of course, I don't know if he actually has custom hotkeys, but Naniwa can set up custom hotkeys as well, so he doesn't have to reach across the keyboard to hit N for Nexus or anything like that.
Just trying to get into that mindset right now. Very concentrated player as well. He's fooling around a lot while lettering, and I have to admit that Naniwa is probably one of the biggest trolls out there. It's awesome to watch him and Todd just go at each other the whole time, insulting each another with friendly banter. And yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. A little bit difficult at times, but still a really... well, that's how it is.
So the first map is going to be Daybreak, and we're going to get started here in just a moment. The countdown has begun. Will Naniwa get his revenge on Lucky from last season, or will Lucky once again prove his dominance over the Swedish Protoss? We're going to find out in just a moment here at the GSL Code A on GOMTV. And we haven't mentioned it enough, by the way, today. Thanks again to Sony Ericsson, G-Skill, Razer, all of our sponsors. It is the sponsors that make this tournament possible. It is the sponsors that make it possible for this Zerg player to be here at the upper right of the map.
FXO Lucky.
That's the voice I've been talking about.
Yeah.
That's really soothing. Kind of a bedroom voice that you want to fall asleep to. And he is the Zerg player at the top right that you already mentioned. And his opponent starting at the bottom left in blue, another Swedish player. It is...
Naniwa.
Naniwa actually has a really good record in his Protoss versus Zerg. He has a 64% win ratio, 104 wins and 59 losses in that matchup alone. He's really one of these players that has been around for quite a while, a former Warcraft 3 pro player.
Although we do have to keep in mind that a lot of those wins have taken place at places like MLG, where he's going to be going up against competition which are you know, let's just be honest about it. Not going to be as high a level as the Korean Zergs that he's going to be running into. And look at this, Naniwa blocking the expansion. Looks like Lucky might want to block Naniwa's expansion. He's actually got a drone dancing around where the Nexus would go. That's kind of funny.
And we have the Zerg player reacting to that. Apparently he wanted to squeeze out a 15 hatch, but when he saw that there was a pylon being built by his opponent, he immediately threw down the pool and got additional drones. So in this PvZ matchup, it's quite often a struggle for the Zerg player to withstand the initial attacks. If there's a good timing attack coming up, then if you over-drone, if you focus too much on your economy, it's hard for the Zerg player to hold it. But in general, Protoss will get behind, especially if they don't do anything about the early expansions of the Zerg, and then the Zerg is able to throw a huge amount of units against the Protoss defenses, and, well, most of them are finally cracking right now.
As I'm sure you know, I know that you know, it's super, super annoying as a Zerg to have your expansion block like that. Lucky's going to have to get out 4 Zerglings, and actually he's getting a couple more Zerglings as well to knock down that pylon as quickly as possible so that you can get that expansion up, because the thing about that is it's not just an expansion base, it's also the extra production capability that that second hatchery gives you that is going to be important going into the mid-game. And there are a couple more Zerglings popping out. Lucky is actually making a significant number of Zerglings. Now he's transitioning back into drones.
And Naniwa will have his Nexus up before his opponent has his hatch, so he has access to 2 Chrono Boosts. He can at the same time produce 2 probes. He has been training a lot with former Walker 3 players. We talked about that already. Todd helped him out. Todd stayed in Korea for quite a while, therefore he has a lot of contacts, and he's able to read and write in Hangul as well. Was talking to Zerg players on the Korean server in order to get some practice partners for Naniwa.
He can actually sing in Hangul too, or sing in Korean. We went to the Noraebang, the karaoke place, the other day, and he was singing a Korean song on the.
He was actually singing Chinese.
It was really impressive.
So Todd really. A lot of help to Naniwa. He coached him a lot. They talked about the matchup. They talked about possible variations in the build orders, and we will see if that's enough.
I was coaching Naniwa too.
You were coaching Naniwa.
Okay, probably didn't get as much out of that coaching as he did from Todd and from Czech, but no, I was watching him laddering. And anyway, so yeah, Naniwa has gotten a Zealot out. He's gotten his wall up. It's nice and fine. He wants to make sure he sees exactly what Lucky's up to, though, and that's why he's sending out this Zealot to do some scouting. Is he going to get surrounded, though? No. Not the best micro from Lucky. He's just got it on attack move on that Zealot, and he's going to lose 3 Zerglings.
Well done by Naniwa. Really well done. His opponent is getting a 3rd base right now, so Lucky is basically faced with the decision whether to attack with a lot of units on 2 base, or if he wants to get ahead in the economy, he needs a 3rd hatch. That's exactly what he's doing right now. He's droning up, getting another 8 drones, researching the metabolic boost, and he scouted with the links that Naniwa is currently researching the +1 attack upgrade in his main base, and now Naniwa throwing down a lot of gateways, and look at that Overlord with the perfect timing in the main base of Naniwa, scouting the production facilities of his opponent being built. Nice catch there by Lucky. He has actually 2 Overlords in the vicinity.
Very, very good scouting there, and that is something that Naniwa actually didn't get to do. He sent out that Zealot, and part of the purpose of that Zealot was to find out, is there a 3rd base? What is Lucky up to? Is he massing roaches right now? What is he doing? And so Naniwa's in the dark as far as that goes. This Zealot is going to go over there and scout that 3rd base, and that is very, very important. He needs to know that that 3rd is up.
And he knows it now. The Zealot is about to die. The 3rd base is ready. A Roach Warren being built for the Zerg player as well. And right now we have him on 43 drones against 42 probes. So Naniwa is actually warping in a bunch of units. There are those 2 pylons being built.
Yeah, Naniwa was forced to cancel those pylons in the middle of the map, actually. He is starting to mass Zealots, and he looks like he might want to go for an attack here pretty soon. A Warp Prism being created as well, and I remember seeing him do some Warp Prism play, watching over his shoulder sometimes. It was very, very cool to see him doing drops in the main and that kind of thing at times.
We had Naniwa, look at that, he's keeping the Zealots at the pylon in order to defend the pylon and not to be surrounded by the Zerglings. We have Borrow researched by the by the Zerg player, and Naniwa already has a robotic, so he can squeeze out that observer in order to detect burrowed units. He's getting additional zealots right now, but he's not using all of them. He needs to be more careful. 69 against 79 supply. The Warp Prism is out as well. And here come the Zerglings. +1 is already being done, so he can 2-hit the Lings, taking out a lot of them. Roaches as well, but it's not enough to kill all the forces of the Zerg player. He killed a lot.
Yeah, he actually did a lot more against that force than I thought, and that partly comes down to the fact that Lucky did about 0 micro in that battle. He did not kite his roaches at all.
The Warp Prism that you see on your screen right now with all those sentries, he's trying to get into the mineral line, force field the drones and kill them, but is he able to dodge the Overlords? He was actually heading straight for one of them, but now he is going through the back and he will probably be able to pull that off. That would be huge. Let's see if he's able to kill some of the drones of his opponent, getting a Spire. Lucky is getting that Spire now, sorry, and here come the force fields.
He's got to get the force fields out. No, he doesn't force field that many. And now there's the warp in with the Zealots at the same time to accompany the sentries. Doesn't get the drones, but what damage can he do?
Actually, he didn't accomplish all that much. He was able to kill some mining time, but that's about it. That lair won't fall, no way. He needs to save those sentries, that's what he does. But he could have killed a lot more drones. Naniwa will be a little bit upset about what just happened.
Yeah, he missed the force field there that he wanted to get to trap most of the drones. Lucky reacted pretty well there as well, though, but the Spire is almost complete. And I remember Naniwa was very upset about having lost to Mutalisks last season to Lucky. If he goes for Mutas again, it would be really, really harsh on him. And also, look at that, he's going for Colossus tech.
The thing is that Lucky didn't scout that. Lucky doesn't know about the robotics bay.
Oh, really?
And we have Contaminate being used by the Overseer. And in the main base of Lucky, once again, that small push with a Warp Prism. But the 10 Mutalisks are on their way. He needs to retreat with the Warp Prism or it will be dead, and the sentries at the same time. Now, expansion. The next base for the Protoss player, killing the Overseer. And already, with extended thermal lens nearly done, Naniwa is getting the first Colossus. Lucky is unaware of that.
That is the case, and the Mutalisks are on the way. +1 weapons is on the way as well. I don't know if Naniwa is going to be prepared for this. He's been teching the Colossus to deal with the mass roaches and what have you, but Mutas are going to be very effective. He does not have too many Stalkers on the field. Nice trap. Traps those roaches. They do not get away, but there's just a handful of Stalkers battling Mutas in the main.
Yep, so far Naniwa actually did a really good job at defending. He didn't lose any, well, he lost a couple of workers, but not to that harass. Well, some of them.
Lucky is now at 80 drones, by the way, which means that he has complete saturation on, and he just got 5 more. Oh no, the Warp Prism! Suicides into those Mutas. That was unfortunately, I guess he was going for another drop or something like that. Here comes the attack though. Roaches get force fielded back. Can he kill off the Mutas? The Mutas are trying to target down the sentries. And the Stalkers joining the battle are going to drive that back.
Lucky really needs to be careful. This attack didn't do him all that much good. He killed a bunch of sentries, but that's all that happened. Naniwa is on 130 supply against 140, and we have Lucky on 90 drones against 63. Naniwa now getting 3 drones at a time, researching Blink in order to deal with the Mutalisks, and also the +2 attack upgrade. He researched +1 armor. The Zerg player, on the other hand, doesn't have all too many upgrades just yet. He's researching the +1 flyer upgrade, but that's about it. We have 15 Mutalisks, and they are going in order to take down a few more units, but have to retreat after they spot the sentries and the Stalkers.
Yeah, and we do have Naniwa almost completing Blink right now, by the way, which is exactly what he's going to need. He's going to need Blink Stalkers to try and chase around those Mutalisks to try and defend, because his defense is going to be pretty spread out. Between his third and his main are very far away, and he doesn't know where the Mutas are going to pop up.
But Lucky is doing a really, really good job now. He's getting the Hive Tech. He already is on 4 bases. He's getting a 5th, and at the same time researching pathogen glands, getting more Mutalisks, and getting rid of a lot of economy supply by producing spine crawlers in the middle of the map. He's on 180 supply, but can't find a hole in the defense of Naniwa, but will it be enough for Nani to be on 3 bases? He's researching Storm right now, and that will help him a lot with the Mutalisks of his opponent.
Certainly will. Yeah, that's going to be really, really effective. If he can land a good Storm on the group of mutas, that will be very, very, very damaged. But yeah, Pathogen Glance is upgraded. So if he can get some fungals off, of course the fungal growth will stop the stalkers from blinking. And so they'll be a little harder for them to engage against the mutas as well. And there's the Greater Spire on the way. Lucky already preparing for that late game where he's going to want Broodlords to counter Naniwa's army.
24 Stalkers right now. There are the Zerglings as well. Is he able to take out that force? There are already 3 cannons defending the expansion. A lot of Zealots being warped in at the same time. All those Stalkers are trying to blink after the Mutalisks, taking out some of them in the process. And once again, Lucky has to retreat, and Naniwa is closing the gap in supply. But one thing we need to mention is the Greater Spire tech is already halfway done. We have Corruptors being built, and we have the speed for the Overlords, while there was a Baneling Nest being built. So if he is researching the drop ability as well, he might even go for some Baneling drops.
Oh no!
Oh.
Whoa, Naniwa catching those mutas off guard is able to kill them off and get some Zerglings as well. But here's the thing, Lucky is about to make about 8 to 10 Broodlords. He's got the gas saved up and the minerals, the Greater Spire's moments for popping. He already has the Corruptors. Will it be in time though? Naniwa is going for this 5th base. He's probably going to kill it off. I don't think Lucky has anything to deal with this until those 8 Broodlords pop out.
No, he definitely doesn't, but will Naniwa be able to kill more than only the 5th, because there was no mining dimension of going on. He's going into the main base, but look at all those Spine Crawlers and the Broodlords as well. Naniwa, he is not able to keep that up. I don't think he'll be able to deal with the Broodlords. Here we go, the Broodlords pop, and Naniwa retreats immediately.
Yeah, with just the Broodlords, he could theoretically blink forward and take them out, but with the mutas there as well, and who knows what else waiting behind that, then it would be a lot of problems to deal with it. Now he's going down to this 4th base, trying to catch it before the Spine Crawlers are completed. The Broodlords are too slow to get here to join the battle, and this 4th base is going to go down very quickly without any resistance from Lucky.
Well done by Naniwa. At the same time, I have to mention it once more, we had that Baneling Nest, and currently Lucky is researching the speed for his Banelings and morphing a significant amount of Banelings. He doesn't have the drop ability though. He only researched speed for his Overlords, taking out additional Overlords while moving back with his army and supply blocking Lucky right now. Naniwa taking a 4th base, getting +3 attack, adding 6 additional gateways. This is a really good first game. This is a really close one as well.
Naniwa has his revenge within sight. He can smell victory in the air, but he's somehow going to have to deal with 11 Broodlords and 15 Mutalisks, not to mention Banelings as well.
And that's one thing that Lucky doesn't do. He doesn't get infestors for that fungal in order to prevent those Stalkers from blinking. And that's a huge blunder in my opinion. We have High Templars now in the mix of Lucky's army, of Naniwa's army as well. So he will be able to storm, and that is something that obviously is pretty hard for especially the Mutalisks to deal with.
Yeah, well, just as you said that, actually, Lucky did just make 3 Infestors.
And look at the Banelings.
A ton more Banelings. But is he going to strike before the Banelings are there? The Banelings are hatching now. And the Broodlord's moving in as well. Naniwa has to play this so carefully.
He needs the High Templars. If he can get off a lot of good storms, then this should be a battle in his favor. There's the first fungal of the Banelings! Oh no! Retreating actually, nice!
Oh my gosh, only a Colossus going down and some other units as well, but that was a lot of Banelings eaten by those Colossi. There's the storm on the Infestors. The Infestors barely dodge out.
Blink in! And here we go!
Oh, the storm on the Mutas and the Infestors!
Whoa.
Storm on the Broodlords as well! Does he have enough Stalkers to finish off the remnants of that Broodlord army? They are still charging into his 4th base.
Oh god, here are the Archon Morphs. Naniwa needs to blink in. He's trying to one-shot the Broodlords, but there are so many Broodlings by now. And the Archon trying to get rid of the Broodlings. The Broodlings are focusing down Stalker after Stalker. Naniwa dropping its supplies down to 120 against 170. retreating back to the cannons. What a fight.
This is insane. Naniwa was trying to kill off those Broodlords, but the Mutalisks were doing so much damage, and the Banelings are morphing in. If those Banelings morph in onto those Stalkers, they will all die. The Broodlords are all dead now, though, and he can now fall back to his cannons.
He sniped all of them, and he's taking out the Broodlords in the making as well. He's focusing down the Queens, though. That's a really bad day to be a queen. You don't wander off like that. You don't wander off creep unless you want to get killed, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, well, they were transfusing a lot of those Broodlords in that battle. They were crucial when they came along, but Naniwa has fought it off. Here's the thing, though. In all of that, Lucky somehow has macroed back up to 5 bases and 170 supply. Naniwa stuck on 4 with 130 supply is in trouble now.
Way ahead in upgrades. Naniwa is on 3 attack upgrades, 1 shield and 1 armor, getting the 2nd armor completed now. At the same time, we have the Zerg player only on 1 attack upgrade for his melee units, and the Mutalisks attacking the base of Naniwa. Naniwa, what is he going to do? He needs to retreat, needs to be careful, can't lose those probes. Here come the Archons, and the Nexus being focused down. Naniwa is losing his 3rd base. He still has his 4th up. He's on 140 supply against 150. Only a small supply lead by Lucky. But Moltrap mentioned it, there's a lot of mining going on for Lucky. He already has a lot of Broodlords morphed again, and still all those spying crawlers in order to defend against the push of Naniwa.
Yeah, those Broodlords are just... Naniwa just has nothing to deal with those right now. And he actually just leaves the game without putting up one last fight. Too little mining going on for Naniwa. He was mined out in his main and his natural, only mining that 4th. And didn't think he had anything to deal with those Broodlords. Goes ahead and decides to move on to game number 2.
Yep. Calls of the day, at least on Daybreak.
There he is, frustratedly chewing on his thumb. Lucky looking good. Choya going in there, giving him some pep talk as well. So far, Lucky, man, that was very, very close. Lucky was really on the verge of defeat there. He lost his 5th, he lost his 4th base. He was mined out in his main. He was not mining very well. It was looking bad for him. Then the Broodlords came out. He was able to surge back. Then he lost his Broodlords and then attack, and it looked like Naniwa was going to come back again, but Lucky had just macroed up while that attack was going on extremely well. That was really, really impressive, and was able to take the macro victory after that loss of the battle.
I really like the idea of Naniwa not only killing the 5th base, but then when he approached the main base of his opponent and he realized, okay, there are way too many spine crawlers, there are the Broodlords being morphed in the back, that he made good use of his more mobile army, that he went down, killed the 4th as well, retreated, and tried to get enough units not to deal with the push of the Zerg player. But it was really, really horrible to see that those last Fungals really were able to put Naniwa into a situation where he had to fight, he had to defend that 4th base, and there were so many Broodlords. You mentioned the Queens transfusing as well, and he just couldn't get in there. Every time he got near the Broodlords, suddenly there were Broodlings everywhere, and this was really hard for him to deal with, even with the Storm. And now Naniwa is actually eager to get the game started. He's like, go, 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 go. He really wants this match to happen. He wants to play on Crossfire. And that's the next game, the next map we are going to see. Naniwa still thinking about the last game, and now it will come all down to this map. Will he be able to force the 3rd game or not? We'll see in just a few seconds. We're loading the map. Naniwa against Lucky, game number 2.